Over 80 years ago, a new religion was founded with the name Cao Đài in a country of Ao Lak or Vietnam, and has quickly grown to become the third largest religion in this country. Cao Đài recognizes that the ultimate goal of all true religions is the same, to teach humankind to live peacefully and compassionately with all sentient beings and to realize our divine origin. The term Cao Đài literally means Supreme Palace, referring to the place where God reigns over the universe, and was also the name God used to impart His divine instructions in the creation of Cao Đài. Followers of Cao Đài believe that Venerable Ngo Minh Chiu was chosen by God to establish the Cao Đài religion. It was believed that God directly transmitted the teachings and method of practice to Venerable Ngo Minh Chiu until he attained the ultimate self-realization. Today we present to you excerpts from Cao Đài holy book, Collection of Saintly Teachings. Collection of Saintly Teachings. Extend compassion to all beings. All beings are created in the world by the Compassionate One, thus all creation are one. The life-cherishing aspect of the Compassionate One is therefore limitless. As we are one species in the creation, we're also bound by that law which cherishes life. Therefore, if we destroy a life, then Compassionate One will feel hurt, and if it pains the Compassionate One, then heaven and earth will be in great distress. Think about it. Would any human being dare go against heaven's law?
So it's clear to us we must extend our compassion, love even the smallest and weakest beings, first to avoid the law of retribution, as heaven's law spares none. Although our worldly eyes cannot perceive it, no amount of good and bad deeds can escape heaven.
Modesty and making amends. As spiritual practitioners, modesty and the desire to make amends are essential qualities to help us develop virtue, practice spirituality, help the world, and attain enlightenment. The truth teaches us to cultivate and perfect ourselves so as to become saints and sages.
If human beings are already perfect, God, Buddha, deities and saints would not come down to save the world. The Buddhas, deities, saints of the present or past chose goodness, and all had to go through the stage of purification. Many saints, deities and Buddhas were also in human forms before. They also had bad habits like anyone else. Due to their modest and their desire to mend their ways and cultivate their virtue, they evolved from humans to the ranks of saints and deities.
Modesty and the desire to make amends are invaluable treasures that help spiritual practitioners have loving actions, adorable manners, virtuous conduct, kind actions which create a gentle atmosphere. That is spiritual practice.
Live and practice without expectation. Worldly events change every hour, every minute. Within that change, the worldly people always feel restless, worried, distressed, happy, hate, or fearful. But spiritual practitioners must be tranquil and view these changes like the tide rises, then ebbs, like clouds form, then disperse, like a circulating system of which the smallest is the human body, the greatest is the universe.
Because nothing in this impermanent world is immutable. It's just a matter of whether we are able to see it or hear it. Don't think that when something can be seen or heard that it exists, and when it's unseen and unheard that it doesn't, because human senses are limited, but the working of the universe is limitless.
Our soul temporarily borrows the physical body in this world like a snail borrows its shell. Do not be attached to that shell and hinder our evolution. The ultimate goal of a spiritual practitioner is to become all good, all perfect, to befit the level of the perfect beings in the spiritual realm. We temporarily borrow what is not real to establish at the real. Don't think that we only need the real, and so cast off all that which is not real.
The Creator has arranged that humanity must do everything that is befitting the moral principles to be of service to this world. Then we can hope to have a firm foundation as a stepping stone to advance to the true realm.
Liberation will come by itself. A spiritual practitioner just practices the Dharma or true teaching, carefree and without any expectation. If during practice one is anxious or is expectant, he has already bound himself to that liberation. A traveller sees a starving beggar. He gives because of pity and compassion, not because he wants to build merit. The need at the moment is to help this person get over his hunger pangs. That's it. If the giving is to obtain invisible blessing from heaven and Buddha, then that is giving with an intention, with expectation, and thus create a rope to bind ourselves.
Everyone knows that spiritual practice is to cultivate our thinking to become all good, all perfect. Only when one is all good, all perfect, then will one be in tune with the good energy of the realm of Buddhas and deities, and naturally will be born into that world. However, while practicing spiritually, we must keep our hearts pure and unattached. Do not desire to become a Buddha or a deity.
Liberation doesn't mean we have to wait until we leave our physical body. While living, anyone can practice the method of liberation. The saying, living in the world without being contaminated, implies that if we wait until after death, how can we know if we will be liberated then?
If so, heaven wouldn't have advised the worldly people to spread the Dharma, true teaching, so that everyone can become all good in order to enjoy heaven on earth. While living here, if we don't elevate our thinking to that of the perfect beings, then even if we shed this physical body 100,000 times, we would still remain at the mundane level and continue to reincarnate according to our karma, retribution.
True happiness cannot be based on material abundance. Once we do a good deed, a meritorious deed, a righteous deed, we'll feel peaceful and happy. What is that if it's not true happiness?
The saints in the past were often contented with a simple life. They were happy when others were happy, and sad when others were sad, yet they understood things before others did. That means they knew to be satisfied with less. Therefore, the Dharma, true teaching, isn't a special privilege reserved for any social class. If one practices spiritually, one will attain enlightenment. A lifetime of spiritual practice begets thousands of blessed lifetimes, while a life of wrongdoings results in many thousands of lives in suffering.
Practice spiritually to be in accordance with God's will. If you want to thoroughly grasp the subtle Dharma or true teaching, cultivate your heart to become righteous and all good in order to be in tune with the law of harmony and the true path. But most importantly, you must meditate to connect with the enlightened beings, to hear their teaching and understand the Tao. Otherwise, the miraculous wonder of heaven, even the Buddhas and deities do not yet fathom.
Dharma, true teaching, is purification. Being light and pure, you'll be able to become one with me, God. Being heavy and ignorant, you will sink to the bottom. Thus, cultivate yourself to become all good, then you may enter heaven. In heaven, the atmosphere is 100,000 times lighter than the air around you. Even with a little impurity, you can't stay there. I have said that moving mountains and seas is normal for the saints and deities to perform. But although it's easy to move mountains and seas, it's very difficult to bring you back. Mountains and seas, though heavy, do not have the 7 feelings and 6 desires, while your physical body, though small, yet contains both desires and impure thoughts. Therefore, it is heavier than many thousand mountains. So, you must rely on spiritual practice to purify yourself in order to get out of the 6 paths.
Life preservation. I established the path in Olag of Vietnam during the last stage of humanity. O children, the wall is about to collapse. Calamity and distress are near. How can I calmly enjoy nirvana or the highest paradise while watching my children heading to their end? Thus I mind not all the hardships to spread the Dharma or true teaching to save you during this urgent period.
The Dharma, true teaching, has 3 periods, which are the ultimate numbers of heaven and earth. The opening period is the first age. The first age, or the age of creation, is the time when the whole universe is created. When heaven and earth was newly created, humans were still pure and good. Thus they abided by God's will to live in harmony and loved one another. In that period, everyone absorbed the natural energy, thus enjoyed peace and leisure and were immersed in the Dharma, true teaching, every day. The first age is also called the saintly age.
Next is the Middle Age. In this age, human hearts were inconsistent. They learned the worldly way, acquired bad habits, and thus moved away from goodness. They began to rely on their strength to oppress, kill, destroy one another. The strong oppressed the weak, leading to countless bloody wars. Love for fellow human beings was lost, concerns for fellow countrymen diminished. The Middle Age is also called the Age of Fighting.
Next is the last age, when the fighting becomes more frequent and vicious. In this age, humanity relies on their brain instead of their physical strength, and thus they think of wicked and deceitful schemes which are unusually ferocious. But it's the natural course of things. As the more people struggle, the better they evolve. Yet, as the fighting becomes more intense, it leads to destruction, which is the last age. This is the current age, or age of devastation.
Yet, after disturbance comes peace. After devastation comes prosperity. Thus, after the age of devastation, the age of moral restoration will arrive to re-establish the first age. And so this age is also called the Age of Rebirth. Humankind has arrived at this age of unification, or the great rebirth of heaven and earth. It's now the last age of heaven and earth, as the creation has lasted 129,600 years, and so it's time to create heaven and earth again.
Thus, you must rely on the Dharma, true teaching, and endeavor to practice spiritually until you are all good, so as to avoid the destruction of the coming time. Besides, since spiritual practice is the way to escape this suffering world, a gentleman will focus on spirituality and try his best to cultivate his virtue.
The world is a merit testing school. If worldly people want to be rich, they must find ways to make money. This is the physical aspect. But if one wished to attain the levels of deity, saint, sage, Buddha, one must have spiritual merit. I came to deliver you by establishing a school for you to achieve your spiritual goal, a merit testing school. If you want to arrive at the Pure Land, you must pass through this door.
Many among you have mistaken that once entering the path, you should disregard all worldly matters, so they indulge in a lowly desire, and that is to find an obscure and free place to hide themselves in seclusion to practice spiritually. Let me tell you, if your merit is not enough and you haven't fulfilled your worldly responsibilities yet, then you will never get enlightened. If you want to attain enlightenment, the only way is you must save sentient beings.
Practice all virtue, perform all good deeds. Your merit equals your attainment.
We enjoyed your company today for Between Master and Disciples here on Supreme Master Television. Animal World, our co-inhabitants, is up next after noteworthy news. May your life be endowed with God's blessings, love, and light.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/BMD.